Next up, we have Sarah Erickson, escorted by Chaz Larson. Weird fact about Sarah, she eats ice cream for breakfast, according to her bio. Next up, we have Betsy Ferguson, escorted by Luke Jefferson. Standing in for Luke is David Middleton. Pause, Betsy. Her favorite high school memory was when she scared something out of Mr. Huser. Next up, we have Kyla Klug, escorted by Andy Edholm. A fun fact about Kyla, she can write her name with her toes. Next up, we have Natalie Horseman, escorted by Arthur Van Zandt. On her bio, her favorite quote is, "If you're not first, you're last," by that noted poet, Ricky Bobby. Next up, we have Julia Johnson, escorted by Bo Holmes. An interesting pet peeve on Julia, she hates long toenails. Next up, we have Katie Schulte, escorted by Nick Lund. Katie is especially proud of her Halloween costume when she was the Little Mermaid. Next up, we have Abby Singerhouse, escorted by Noah Harmon. Fun fact about Abby, when she was little, she wanted to marry her daddy, which according to Rick is pretty much every other girl in Hudson. Sorry, Rick. Next up, we have Jenny Strom, escorted by Connor Satterfield. Jenny's favorite high school memory was last year's King Cole dance. Wrapping up our candidates is Raylan Weber, escorted by Jake Paul. Raylan's favorite high school memories are the musicals at our fine high school that she was a part of. And last, but certainly not least, this year's Queens and Princesses will be crowned by last year's Queen, 2008 homecoming Queen, Becca Heichel. Ladies, if we can have you get close together, shoulder to shoulder. And gentlemen, if you could take a step back and give her a little space. We will start with the second princess, work our way up to the 2009 homecoming queen. Mr. McCarthy, do you have a drum roll at the ready? Our second princess is Julie Johnson. Next up, we will crown our first princess. A drum roll, please. Everybody. We will now crown Hudson High School's 2009 homecoming queen. If you please. fun. They are all wonderful, wonderful young gals. Congratulations.
Welcome out to Newton Field as the Hudson Raiders are getting ready to take on Chippewa Falls in their 2009 homecoming game here on Channel 15. I'm Paul Winkles. Along with me is Chris Larson. And the Raiders coming off a tough game last week, looking to rebound here in front of a rowdy, fired up hometown crowd for this homecoming night game.
Yeah, it's a packed house tonight. I showed up at the game at 6 o'clock. The parking lot was already full. We've already seen the coronation of the homecoming queen. Now we just have a football game to play, and a pretty tough opponent in town this week for homecoming. Chippewa Falls comes in, two-time defending Big Rivers Conference champion. They haven't lost a Big Rivers game in 17 games, coming with a 17-game win streak in the Big Rivers Conference. And unfortunately for the Raiders, they haven't come out as victors in this game since 2003. But it's a new season, it's new teams. It doesn't matter what happened the last 6 years. We've got a football game to play tonight, but here's the national anthem.
So we're 2-1. A great rendition of the national anthem by students from Hudson High School, as the whole school is involved here. As we had a lot of students out at the parade earlier today, we also had some other activities that we'll discuss that happened during the day today to celebrate homecoming. And now we've got all the students in the stands as well as on the field here representing Hudson High School as they're taking on Chippewa Falls. The Raiders come in 2-1 on this young season. They won 21-13 against Wisconsin Rapids in week 1, won 7-6 against Somerset the following week. And then last week they lost to Superior 14-7. A tough game last week, Chris.
Yeah, some turnovers really hurt the Raiders, and like we've seen so far this year, the penalties hurt them as well. Raiders haven't really turned the ball over too much this season, but they did get them last week. Here's the defense being announced tonight before the homecoming game.
Chippewa Falls comes in with a record of 2-1 on the season. Last week they crushed Eau Claire Memorial 41-7. Their only loss of the season came the week before when they took on Cedarburg. They lost 21-14. Chris, what do you know about those two teams?
Well, Cedarburg, one of the best teams in the state of Wisconsin. They've got a quarterback. He's about 6'5". He's just a horse. They have one of the best running backs in the state as well. Really tough opponent. Chippewa Falls came out to a 14-0 lead in that game before Cedarburg put 21 unanswered on the board to defeat the Cardinals. In week 1, the Cardinals traveled to Holman, and I don't know what you know about that team, but that's a team with a couple players actually slated to go up to the U of M over here in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So they've got some talent as well, and they actually led Chippewa Falls for quite a bit of that game before Chippewa turned on the Jets and took over the win there. One thing you're going to see a lot of tonight is a junior running back, Brad Humpner. He's a 205-pound junior running back and just a hoss out there. He leads the Big Rivers Conference in rushing. He's put up 371 yards and 6 touchdowns. Another thing that the Cardinals have going tonight is they're looking for Chuck Rakovic. The guy's been coaching for 32 years, looking for his 200th victory tonight. So that's a big deal for the Cardinals. They'd like to get that on this field tonight. Another thing going on, I read in the paper today that about half the Cardinals team does come in tonight with flu-like symptoms. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and possibly later in the game. If you're not feeling so good, early in the game you'll feel pretty good and kind of be able to battle through it, but later in the game they may wear down. So if the Raiders can keep this game pretty tight game, they may be able to get some points on a team that maybe wore out later on.
One of the storylines to watch, the Raiders actually have come into this game a little banged up as well. We'll have to see how much we see out of Andy Edholm as well as Bo Holmes, as both those guys got hurt week 1, looking to rebound from those injuries. They are dressed tonight, so we'll see to what extent they play. And in a homecoming game like this, probably both of them wanting to get back on the field as much as possible.
They did warm up. It looked to me like they're going to play by the looks of them. And talking to some of the parents last week, they felt like Bo Holmes would probably play this week.
The Raiders will kick off. Back there is Jake Dennison. And he waits, and he kicks off, and this one has end over end, a short kick, lands at about the 17-yard line, and that's where the Cardinals will pick it up, and a nice tackle there at the 22-yard line by number 22, Tyler Smersina.
It's going to be quite a test for the Raiders. The Raiders, I've seen so far this season, are really one of the better tackling teams in the conference. And the way the offense, you'll see it's a very tricky offense that Chippewa Falls runs. A lot of deception, a lot of fakes. That's really going to test that Hudson defense tonight. So far, they really have played very well all season long. And we'll see how they stand up to a top-flight offense like Chippewa Falls.
Also in on the tackle, the standout defensive back, number 3, Michael Bennett. He's been putting together a pretty solid year so far early in this 3-game season so far.
Yeah, Bennett seems to be all over the field. Whenever there's a ball thrown, he seems to be the man on the spot there.
Cardinals come out in the wishbone, very tight formation. It's going to be pretty difficult for us to call who has the ball here. So under center, drop back in the pitch, back to the halfback. We'll go forward to about the 30-yard line, so a pick of 6 on first down.
And that's Humpner. He's going to be the guy that's going to get the ball for the most of the evening.
So a pickup of 6 on first down will make it 2nd and 4.
Jared Jackwish, you'll see him number 1. He's kind of the secondary ball carrier for this team. The quarterback, the Chippewa Falls, not afraid to throw the ball. They average about 9 pass attempts a game.
That's Sean Peterson. He's 16 for 22 so far on the season. Peterson takes it and pitches it back once again. And this time it only goes for about 2 or 3 yards. It's going to set up a 3rd down and short. And once again, that one went to Humpner.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting game. The Cardinals come in the top running team in the conference, and the Hudson Raiders have to be one of the top defensive units, especially on the front line. It's going to be a really interesting thing to watch all night tonight.
Looks like a 3rd down and a long one. Humpner with 370 plus yards on the season. You'd have to expect to see him get the ball here. Peterson under center. He'll pitch it back to Humpner. Actually, that one goes to Jackwish, and he gets stuffed. So he'll get tackled for a loss of what looks to be about 3, and the Cardinals are going to have to punt.
So far, the Raiders passed the test. They looked great on defense there. Gave up 6 yards on first down, but really buckled down after that and really slowed down the Cardinal rushing attack.
Interesting call there on 3rd down and short. Really just have a yard to gain. You'd think more of a plunge type play. Instead, they pitch it backwards 3 yards and stopped right on the spot by the defense of the Raiders. Punt. Very nice punt. Lands at about the 30. Nice high spiral on the punt. And a nice special teams tackle and a fumble, but it's recovered by the Raiders at the 34. So very nice special teams play there by the Cardinals, as that punt was very high and gave the coverage team a lot of time to get down there.
And the Raiders did quite well last week as far as picking up yards on punt returns, but they were a little bit sloppy with their ball handling last week as well, and we see it right away on the first punt of the game here tonight. That's one thing that I'm sure Coach Cowles is working on.
Raiders with their first possession of the game. They're going to go shotgun, 3 wide receivers with a man in the backfield. Davey Branson is in at quarterback, and he'll keep it himself, and he's got some space to the outside. He's got one man to beat, and he cannot beat him. He gets to about the 45-yard line, so a good pickup on first down. But beyond number 5, Tyler Kinderman, there was no one downfield. So if he's able to get around that corner, Branson would be gone on the first play of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, Branson last week put the ball on the ground a couple times, but he certainly does look like the best offensive weapon for the Raiders this year. He's really had many of the long gainers for them.
3 wide again. 2nd and 1 after a pickup of 9. And this time they'll just hand it off and stuffed right away at the 43-yard line. Is the handoff to the fullback, number 44, Andy Edholm. So Edholm is playing today. He gets negative yards on that carry. So
that's his first carry since the first game. He did look a little tentative, and I think when you come back from an injury like that, you kind of want to test it out and really feel what it's going to feel like when you get somebody hit. Looked a little tentative on that run.
So we'll call it 3rd and 2. Branson in the backfield with Edholm. Got 1 wide receiver split out left, 2 tight ends. Now Hilden in motion. Hilden will take the pitch. He's got some space to the outside. He's looking for that first down marker, and it looks like he's going to come up short. We also have a flag. It looks like it may be a hold on the Raiders on the far side of the field. We'll have to see who they call it on.
Yeah, that's in holding territory, and the way that play was designed, that's probably going to be a hold. When it goes to the outside, every once in a while you'll see that outside lineman just grab somebody to try to seal that play off, and most of the time you can get away with it, and sometimes you just don't.
A lot of times as a blocker you can't quite see which side you're supposed to block on when that pitch comes to the outside. Looked like Hilden tried to go to the outside, and there was maybe an arm hook by one of the offensive linemen, so the holding will push it back. And that
they decline it, actually go to 4th down and force a 4th and short. And Hudson has gone for it on this situation before, and they may be right here. Davey Branson back into the game. Interesting that they declined that.
And they come out in a different formation here, as they've got 3 men in the backfield, with Branson under center. Might just be trying to get him to jump off sides here. And no, they run the play, and the handoff goes up the middle, and it looks like the Raiders will plunge ahead for the first down. So that's our get exactly 2 yards play, and they got exactly 2 yards for the first down.
That's an interesting decision, seeing the Raiders have not thrown the ball with a lot of success since the first game of the season. In that situation, maybe 3rd and 11 would be a little bit better situation for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals than 4th and short. That's a spot that the Raiders seem to like quite a bit.
And with the first down, the Raiders go right back to the 3 wide. Actually make it 2 wide with a tight end. You got a running back in the backfield. That's Edholm. And Hilden will keep it himself. Was looking to pitch it out to Smith, but he holds on to it instead. And he gets tackled for a loss of 1. That'll make it 2nd and 11.
We mentioned a little bit earlier Coach Reykjavik for the Cardinals going for his 200th win. They took on Holman early in the season, and according to Reykjavik, he scheduled that game because Holman is traditionally an option offense. He scheduled that game just to scout for this team, but a little disappointed that Holman didn't run the option that much in the first season, or the first game of the year for the Cardinals. And there we saw that option on that play.
Shotgun again. Davey Branson drops back. He's looking to pass. He's looking long. He's throwing it into double coverage there. And the throw goes over the head of number 24, Travis Hilden. So looking to pass there on 2nd down, now a 3rd down. Probably going to look for another pass there. Hilden didn't really have anybody beat. It looked like he's probably going to go to Hilden no matter what on that play, and just went over his head. So not a dangerous throw, as it wasn't really near anybody there. Shotgun 3 wide. Edholm lined up next to Hilden. Smith moves in motion. He'll take the handoff. And he's got a little bit of space. He's getting to the outside. He's to the 40, to the 35, the 30. And he gets tackled right around the 27-yard line. So Tyler Smith, seems like anytime you get the ball in his hands, Chris, we were talking about this before the game, that he makes big chunks of yardage. And right there on a huge 3rd and 11, picks up over 20 yards for another first down.
Oftentimes he's the fastest guy in the field, and well, we were talking earlier, I really think you should get that guy about 15 touches a game, because good things happen when he has the ball.
So they're at the Chippewa Falls 28, this time Hilden in motion. Branson will keep it himself, pitch it out to Hilden. He's got some space. He's to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, the 5, and he's wrapped up down around the 3-yard line. So Chippewa Falls seems to be flat on their feet here on defense, as the Raiders are carving out yardage all the way down to the 3-yard line and are in a position to score here in the first quarter.
There was that option, and it did look like Chippewa Falls was not really prepared for the option on that play at all, because once Hilden took the ball, he found a seam and took it upfield, picked up some big yardage there.
And that's the 3rd or 4th time where it's pretty much been one man to beat for the Raiders, and it just looks like the defense is confused as the pursuit is just going to the wrong area every time. Shotgun again. Hilden. Handoff to Edholm. Edholm powers forward. He's going to get to about the 2, where he is stuffed and shoved backwards. So he'll pick up positive yardage there as he moves closer to that goal line.
After coming off that loss last week against Superior, I'm sure this Hudson Raider team is quite motivated, and they look motivated on offense. This is really one of the sharpest series that we've seen out of them this season. They look pretty good running the football here against a pretty good defensive team.
About 5 minutes left here in the first quarter, no score, but the Raiders are knocking on the door after the 3 and out by Chippewa Falls in their first drive. Handoff goes to Tyler Smith. He might have picked up 1. Continues it closer and closer to that goal line. It's going to set up a 3rd down.
Great penetration there by number 15, Garrett Nevin from Chippewa Falls. He got around the line there, and Smith just had nowhere to go.
So the ball is at the 1-yard line. 3rd down, 4:26 left in the first quarter. This time they go out of the shotgun. They go in the I formation. Looks like the handoff to Smith again. And how many times can they pick up a few yards here inside the 5? It's going to get stopped at the, call it the half-yard line.
That's got to be about as close as you can get without not putting it into the end zone.
And the Raiders offense is going to stay on the field. They've picked up at least a yard on pretty much their last 3 plays, so we'll see what happens here. Handoff will go up the middle, powering forward and spinning. The second after gets him in for the touchdown. So Tyler Smith carries it into the end zone, and he'll score the first points of the game, and it goes to the Raiders. They're up 6-0 here on homecoming night at Newton Field.
Yeah, it's nice to see. The Raiders have had some halves where they've just started off really slow. Nice to see the Raiders have just an incredible defensive series, then come out on offense, look incredibly sharp. They had 2 4th-down conversions they had to make, but look very good.
And they'll line up the extra point. And they will kick it through to make it 7-0. So the Raiders, very efficient on their first drive, a couple of big plays. Almost got shut down at the doorstep by Chippewa Falls. But a nice second effort by Tyler Smith. And he scores to put the Raiders up 7-0. And once again, it's the Tyler Smith factor that seems to be the driving force for this Hudson offense.
Yeah, I think he had about 5 touches in that possession. So that's a good start, and I would get the ball to Tyler Smith, especially in the open field, as much as possible. He's the guy that can make somebody miss, and then when he makes a miss, he's on his way to the end zone.
I'm a little surprised to see they went to him 3 times inside the 5. He doesn't seem to be that kind of inside runner. Seems like most of the times that he is effective is when they pitch it to him on the outside. They ran him inside 3 times, and finally on that 3rd time on 4th down, he was able to spin into the end zone. So very impressive drive there by the Raiders, and most notably Tyler Smith.
Yeah, I think Ed Holmes probably getting his legs back a little bit, and I'm sure Coach Cowell's just a little bit more confident with Smith right now just because Andy's missed a couple games in a row here.
So 3:37 left in the first quarter. Raiders are up 7-0. Perfect start for this homecoming. So Chippewa Falls will get their second drive of the game here coming up after the kickoff by the Raiders. Kind of a topsy-turvy kick, lands at about the 15-yard line and tackled around the 28, and that's where Chippewa Falls will bring their offense back onto the field for their second drive of the game.
Arthur Vinzant there to kind of jam that one up and put a halt to that return. And he's kind of a guy that really we've seen quite a bit of out of the defense. The defensive line kind of gets all the big marks, but this linebacking crew for the Hudson Raiders does a great job on defense, and they're all over the place in special teams as well.
We have an injured Cardinal on the field. Got hurt on that kickoff. Can't quite make out a number yet, so we'll have a slight stoppage of play. Raiders defense did a good job after a few promising plays early on for the Cardinals on their last drive. A couple of big carries by Brad Humpner, but they were able to shut him down and actually push him back on third down. Actually, it was Jack Wish got it and pushed him back, forced the punt, and then the Raiders march all the way down the field for the touchdown. That's where we are at right now, 7-0.
Yeah, the Raiders had a pretty tough test last week going on the road to Superior. Last week for Chippewa Falls, they took on an Eau Claire Memorial team that's just not going to be a very tough team in this conference this year. They have a little ways to go on their program, so I don't know if that factored into the slow start for Chippewa, and that they kind of actually had a slow start last week against Memorial too. Only led that game 14-9 at the half, and then blew up for about 27 straight points in the second half.
So Chippewa Falls offense, very explosive. I'm sure the Raiders are not sleeping on them after that one drive. Inside handoff goes for about 6 yards on first down. That is Humpner. Shows very quick feet there as he's able to dance around a few of his blockers. Very patient on that run, and he picks up 6 yards.
That's the danger of that wishbone. The running back swings around, but by the time he gets the ball, he's already going full speed. He's coming lateral. The whole offensive line pushed, and he had an open field there by the time he turned the corner.
Good pickup on first down there by the Cardinals. This time it's Jack Wish, and Jack Wish gets stuffed again, so his second carry looks much like his first does, as he lost about a yard on that carry, so it's going to set up another third down for the Cardinals.
That was the same exact play they ran on third down in their last series, and the same thing happened. The Hudson Raider defense really penetrated. What happened there is the Chippewa Falls line all shift to move down the line for that. Basically, it's a sweep, and it just allows the floodgates to open for the defense. And the defensive line and linebackers for the Raiders pretty quick getting there to stop that play.
Just a very, very tight offensive formation. I'm sure it's very confusing, but so far the Raiders defensive line has done a great job. Jack Wish gets it. He makes a spin move around the 43. He's tackled right there, but not before picking up the first down. So Jack Wish with a good carry there, shows some speed bursting through the middle, and they'll pick up their first down of the game.
Yeah, once again, Michael Bennett all over the field came up and really put a hit on Jake Wish. Jake Wish is going to be looking for him the next time he goes down through the field like that, but a very nice run there by Jake Wish that time.
Jake Wish showing some of that explosiveness that we've heard about from this Cardinals offense. That's the first sign of it here today. Handoff will go for 0 yards. That was Humpner on the carry. So he gets shut down right around the line of scrimmage. Maybe a pickup of 1 on the forward progress. That'll make it 2nd and 9 for the Cardinals.
For a guy who's averaging about 120 yards a game, so far the Raiders have really had him solved. He's had a couple of nice runs for 5-6 yards, but the Raiders have not allowed anything big from Humpner.
We're nearing about 1:30 left here in the first quarter. Cardinals marching on the Raiders here as they're at the 45. 2nd and 9. Handoff goes up the middle. Humpner will dive ahead for about 6. So Humpner not showing any real speed or power. He just looks like to be a very effective runner as far as following his blocks, being patient and waiting for the holes.
Little power there, though. He pushed it about 3 more yards after the first contact by the Raiders. He's a 205-pound kid, and it's going to take more than one guy to take him down.
So at the 50 will be 3rd down and 4 for the Cardinals. Once again in that wishbone formation. Handoff goes up the middle, and diving ahead for the first down is Humpner. He'll get down to the 45.
And there's that run you were talking about, Paul. He waited for the blockers waited for the hole to develop. Very patient there to pick up that first down. That was a run that you see a senior do. I mean, he really waited for that hole to develop.
The formation is just very interesting for the Cardinals as they're bringing guys in motion and then having them go directly up the middle through the offensive line. You don't see that a lot. You usually see those guys go to the outside.
Yeah, this is the only team in the conference that runs this offense.
Humpner gets stuffed right around the 45-yard line, maybe a pickup of 1 on the forward progress. Will make a 2nd and 9.
The only team in the conference that runs this type of offense, but Coach Coles is probably pretty familiar with it, being a UWRF guy. This is an offense that the Falcons down the road used to run quite a bit of in the early part of the decade.
Number 62, Brian Kraus on the offensive line for the Cardinals looked a little shaken up. He'll stay on the field. And we're going to have a stoppage of play here as that will be the end of the first quarter. So after 1, the Raiders put the only points up on the board. It's 7-0, but Chippewa Falls on their second drive of this game. They're marching, and they'll have a 2nd and 9 coming back in the second quarter.
Yeah, I would say that coaches, fans, players have to be pretty happy with that quarter. The offense looked pretty efficient on their first drive, and defensively they're not allowing anything big. They're making Chippewa Falls work for everything they get. And if you can start limiting 2-3 yards of carry and then get a stop for a loss, then the other team has to punt. So the defense looks good, offense looks good. The Cardinals starting to move the ball now, but I don't think anybody came into this game thinking that we were going to shut the Cardinals out. But if we can just contain them and keep them from picking up those big chunks of yardage, I think the Raiders will have a pretty successful night here tonight.
Perfect night for football. We've kind of been spoiled with the weather the past 2 weeks, so we kind of take for granted how perfect of an evening it is. Beautiful sunset out to the west.
Yeah, not much wind here at all either. It's a very, very still night, but I think things are changing. If you look at the weather forecast next week and beyond that, it's going to start feeling more like fall and less like summer.
Definitely doesn't feel like conference season football. 2nd and 9 here as we begin the second quarter. The pitch up the middle. This is Jackwish. He'll go to about the 40-yard line where he is shoved backwards. So that'll set up about a 3rd and 5 for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals as they are in the Hudson territory here.
And again, like we said before, if you can keep them to that 2 and 3 yards, 1 yard every once in a while, tackle for a loss, you got an opportunity to put the punter on the field for the Chippewa Falls. This is a big third down here, 3rd down and 5 for the Cardinals. If the Raiders can get a stop, mean quite a bit at this point in the game.
Showing a completely different formation than we've seen as we've got 3 wide receivers, 1 man in the backfield. The Cardinals quarterback drops back to pass. He's getting flushed out of the pocket, and he will get sacked at the 50-yard line. And that is the defensive lineman, number 95, Ethan Denauer, for the Raiders. Good pursuit there as well by number 99, Peter Worrell. So the Cardinals come out, show a shotgun formation, and I will have to see if they go back to that one as that play pretty much was blown up from the start.
Yeah, we haven't seen that at all this game. The Cardinals are pretty effective in the passing game, but that play certainly didn't look like it. Ethan Denauer, a little bit of a tough game last week, but starts off this game quite well.
Another good punt. This one would be angled to the sideline. And another great punt. Somebody signed this kid. Punt lands at about the 10-yard line. So perfectly placed by the special teams of the Cardinals. And that's where the Raiders will start their second drive of the game.
And that's something in the last few years that has really helped Chippewa Falls. It wasn't long ago, 5-6 years ago, Chippewa Falls was not a very good team in this conference. And special teams has really been one of the pieces that's made this team what it is now.
It's rare to see a high school team with a good punter, but he's been blasting 40-plus yarders tonight. Going shotgun again. Handoff this time to Tyler Smith. He's looking to the outside. He's got yardage. He's got 1 man to beat. He's to the 30. To the 35. He's wrapped up out of bounds. So that Chippewa Falls defense Not quite sure if they're just not the most fleet of foot or if they're just being caught by the misdirections, as Tyler Smith, probably the third time in this game where he is just a split second away from taking it to the house.
Well, so far this season, we haven't seen the ball going to Smith as much as we have in this game. And they just may not be prepared for it. Smith, I believe, was under 10 carries last week, and he's on pace tonight for a big night.
So first down for the Raiders. Big pickup on first down by Tyler Smith. This one will be kept by Branson. Branson will dive ahead to the 40-yard line. That'll be a gain of 6.
You got to love the power that Davey Branson runs with. I mean, he's like another fullback out there. He got hit, knocked a guy down, and dragged another guy for a couple of yards there for a nice pickup of 6 yards on first down.
Not afraid to smash helmets there as he went right into the defender.
He's a big physical guy. It's a junior year. It's his first year starting. It'll be interesting to see him next year as a senior.
2 wide receivers that make that 3 wide receivers. Beinlich, the 6'4 receiver, split out to the left. And the handoff will go to, looks like Hilden. Might want to put that one back in the playbook, as that goes for a loss of a yard.
And that's Jake was all over the field last year as a junior, and as a senior, he's really progressed too. He's really one of the best defenders for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals, and we saw it right there on that play.
So on 3 wide receivers, Tyler Smith has been the offensive star so far, is split out to the left. Got Andy Edholm in the back. Smith moves across the formation to the right. He's open, and he'll have the pass go over his head. So it looked like they were looking at Tyler Smith the whole time. He had him. Maybe a little bit too much pressure on Davey Branson. Goes over the head of Smith, and we'll have a punt.
Yeah, the corner on the right side was untouched, and Branson just was trying to get the ball out of there before he went down. Pretty decent throw for really not being set at all when he threw it, but unfortunately over the head of Tyler Smith.
So after a long, sustained first drive that ended with a touchdown, the Raiders have one big play and then quickly are off the field with the punt. Ryberg punts around the 30, and this is a line drive kick. And fortunately, the returner will not even try to get it. Goes to about the 28-yard line. So
yeah, that ball was had so little airtime that the returner couldn't even get to it, and the coverage team able to get there and down the ball on the 28-yard line. So we didn't score any points on that drive, but it certainly was a victory when it comes to field position, because Chippewa Falls was well within Raider territory, and with that big run by Smith, it pulls it out, and the fact that the Cardinals didn't have any shot at returning that punt backs up the Cardinals once again down to their own 28-yard line.
So it gets it to a more neutral field position battle here, as the Raiders were caught pretty deep, like you said, but Tyler Smith able to pull them out of that hole. Cardinals with it, 1st and 10 at the 28. Hand off to Humpner, goes up the middle, he'll get stuffed. Gain probably of about 2 yards, so we'll make a 2nd and 8.
I think Chaz Larson will probably be recorded for the tackle there, but Ethan Denauer really blew that play up. He was the one that had the penetration and stopped Humpner from going where he wanted to go.
8:40 left in the second quarter. The Raiders are still up 7-0. Both teams have had 2 drives. 3 of them have resulted in punts. 1 is the touchdown for the Raiders. And the Cardinals have their 3rd drive of the game here at the 30-yard line, 2nd and 8. Handoff goes to Jackwish. And Jackwish will pick up about 3 yards, make it a 3rd and 5.
Michael Bennett comes flying in there. Larson has legs, and Bennett came high, and Jackwish is going to get educated about keep doing that. He's going to be a pretty sore guy tomorrow.
So this Raider defense, very physical in the early goings of this game. And the Cardinals at a 3rd and scoreboard says 4, and they come out with that shotgun again. In the shotgun is Peterson. Peterson drops back. He looks over the middle. He's got his man at about the 43-yard line, dives ahead to the 47, and that'll be a first down. That was number 48, Matt Lease, the tight end, senior tight end, 210 pounds. We don't have his height, but 210 pounds is a pretty big boy.
Yeah. You got a guy across the middle of target like that. It's a pretty nice guy to throw to. And Peterson comes into this game third in the conference in passing yards. They don't throw the ball quite a bit down near the goal line, but they will use the ball between the 20s. They'll throw it.
And they'll go back to their wishbone formation. Peterson under center. Tosses it to Humpner, and Humpner gains about 2. So the Raiders defense has to be commended for keeping Humpner in check. I was expecting a lot of large chunks of yardage for Humpner. Looking at his totals for the season, comes in with 371 yards in his 3 games. But right now, it seems to be, relegated to the 3 to 5 yard run anytime he touches the ball.
One thing the Raiders do very well is they pursue well and they gang tackle. And that was one thing I saw from the Superior game last week. The Superior took advantage of a lot of misdirection. And so far, Chippewa Falls has not used the misdirection, and the Raiders are all over their running plays.
Under 7 minutes here in the second half. Pitch goes outside to Humpner, and Humpner showing some of that power as he eludes the tackle near midfield and goes for the first down out to the 43. So the first time we really see Humpner get out on the edge, and shows a little bit more speed than I assumed he had after the first quarter and a half.
And that's where the Spartans attacked the Raiders last week, is out on those edges, and they were successful. And it was just interesting that the Cardinals really haven't tried to exploit that all evening.
So this time it's the Raiders defense that's caught on their heels here as they've been running inside, inside, inside. Finally, an outside pitch goes for big yardage for Humpner. First down, Cardinals. Fumble, and the ball will get recovered quickly by the Cardinals at the 41-yard line. So just a botched handoff there. Fortunately for the Cardinals, it'll only penalize them a down.
Yeah, somebody that's down below us here in the grandstands used to play football because he was right on the call. The second that ball squirted out, he was making sure everybody knew it was a fumble.
Sure sign of a former football player. Second and 9. They'll actually gain 1 on the fumble. Pitch goes to the outside. Again, this is Humpner. Humpner showing some power again as he ditches 1 tackle and gets down to about the 33. We'll set up a 3rd and short.
Humpner took a hard shot to his knee right there and came up a little gimpy. Somebody, I'm not sure who did, but somebody hit him on his right knee as he swung around there to the outside. Keep an eye on him tonight.
And he is still favoring that knee. Stays in the huddle. As this time in 3rd down, they don't go to that shotgun. They're going to keep it in tight. Peterson pitches to Humpner. Humpner tries to turn it upfield. He's going to be very close to the first down. Looks like he should be, it's hard to tell.
It's going to depend on the spot. The second effort may have gotten it for him, but this is really going to depend on the spot. Going to be very, very close. They're going to have to bring out the chains, I believe.
All right, Chris, prediction time.
I'm going to say he's a hair short.
I'm going to say 1 chain link short.
Is 1 chain link less than a hair or more than a hair?
It's quite a few hairs, actually. First down.
Wow. Didn't seem like they stretched that chain out too much.
No, it did not. It was
and now they do.
Oh, now they do.
Yeah, they didn't stretch that chain out the first time.
You know what it was? There was a kink in the chain link.
Was it?
And they unkinked it. 1 chain link.
It seemed like they just set those sticks down and just went, yeah, first down. But hold the phone, folks.
Looked like they were just watering their garden there as they were laying out the hose, and they finally stretched it out.
But like you said, Paul, it is about a chain link. It's not much.
Say a chain link and a hair away from a first down here as they go for it on 4th. Pitch goes to Jackwish, and Jackwish has an unfathomable amount of hairs on that one.
He was very close to taking that all the way, too. Just tripped up, and then a defensive back came and put the finishing touch on him, but very close to breaking that one.
So easy pickup on 4th down for the Cardinals as they are marching. They're down to the 27, 4:30 left here in the first half. Raiders have the only score of the game. They're up 7-0. Peterson will hand off up the middle. And that's a dive ahead for about 5-yard lines. That carry was by Brett Varva. No, not Brett Favre. Brett Varvra.
Varv.
Varvra.
Varv with a V. As in Victor, right?
Vavra.
Vavra. Yeah, we'll call it Vavra.
Although his number is 30.
We don't want to confuse anyone.
His number is 34. And off again to Vavra. He will dive ahead for a few yards, so maybe a little indication as to the health of the knee of Humpner.
They still have him in the ball game, but they haven't given him the ball since he got up limping.
So something to watch here. 3rd and about 3, we'll say. I'm having some disagreements with the PA announcer as far as spots here. 3rd and 3 from the 20. Peterson with the pitch to Jackwish. Jackwish will dive ahead. Looks like he should have the first down here as he gets near the 15.
Yeah, Jackwish has looked pretty solid since they've stopped giving the ball to Humpner. Tell you one thing, we talked a little bit about Cardinals possibly wearing down as this game goes on if they do have flu-like symptoms. But one thing that may cause them to wear down is this is a pretty physical tackling football team, the Hudson Raiders. They've been putting some licks on these Chippewa Falls Cardinal ball carriers.
First down for the Cardinals. We're down to under 3 minutes in the first half. Handoff to Humpner up the middle. He'll get stuffed right away. Brings it to about the 15, maybe the 14, for a gain of 0 or 1.
That's his first carry in 5 or 6 plays, and look a little more tentative than he has so far this game. Raiders able to snuff that one right out and only picked up about a half of a yard.
And a little slow getting up and getting back to the huddle. So if he is injured, he's trying to play through it and trying to show that he's not injured, but he looks a little off here compared to what we've seen so far in this first half. So 2nd down and 10 from the 15. Dropping back to pass is Peterson. He'll float one to the end zone and caught for a touchdown in triple coverage. That is number 32, Brad Humpner.
Well, like I said, Paul, they don't throw the ball a whole lot in the red zone. That is Peterson, even though he's been pretty effective throwing the ball, that's his first touchdown pass of the season. And boy, that was incredibly close to being intercepted. I thought it was initially. Humpner came up with that ball, but wow, that was quite a tight spot.
I thought that was for sure going to be batted down. You saw the Hudson defenders moving in on it and even seemed to be underthrown just a hair. And it looked like an easy jump up and swat down. And now the extra point is blocked. So the Raiders hold on to the lead. I'm sure they would have much rather knocked down the touchdown, but they'll take knocking down the extra point. So the Raiders retain the lead and kind of a little momentum swing. You know, once the Cardinals picked up that big touchdown, kind of silenced the crowd a little bit. Probably got the Raiders a little bit down on the sideline, but now with that blocked extra point, you still have the lead, and you're probably going to go into the half with the lead.
Yeah, I think with 2:04 left, that certainly you make an attempt at scoring here, but unless there's a turnover, the Raiders should go into the half with the 7-6 lead. And we talked a little bit about the Cardinals and their special teams, but the Hudson Raiders come up with a huge special teams play there to preserve the lead. This is not going to be a 28-27 game, so if you can stop that point, maybe the difference between a win and a loss here tonight. And we have seen that this season. The Raiders really able to win 2 games essentially on the opposing team not being able to get their extra point.
So the Raiders still with the lead, 7-6. 2:04 left in the first half here at Newton Field. Homecoming game for the Raiders. So far, so good. Kickoff goes all the way down to the 3 where they will return it. The Raiders pushing forward. That's number 22 on the return for the Raiders. He'll get it out to about the 25-yard line. That was Tyler Smersina.
Yeah, Smersina Didn't look like it was going to start off well. He kind of had the ball go through his legs, but after that was able to break a tackle and pick up some nice yardage there. And last week he had a couple nice returns too. So nice to see a little bit of a burst there and a little bit of excitement there on the kickoff return.
Shoved off a few would-be tacklers there. Tyler Smith in motion. Plenty of time here for the Raiders, especially with the clock stopping on first downs. Tyler Smith, though, is wrapped up by about 8 defenders right near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I like the idea of getting the ball to Smith, but usually when they hand it off to him, he's already at full speed. That time they bring him into the backfield and kind of run him on a delayed draw, and the Cardinals just weren't fooled at all in that play.
Down to 137 here on that failed first down play. So 2nd and 10. And Branson will hand it off up the middle. That'll go to Edholm for 2 yards. So the Raiders taking their time here as the clock is down to about 1:15.
I think you're going to see a short pass out in the flats, or else one of those runs to Smith going around the outside and see if you can hit a little bit of a home run out of a low-risk play here.
We got 6'4" Beinlich lined up to the left, one of the favorite targets of Branson. Branson now will look to throw to the outside. He's got a man open. That's Hilden. Hilden is going to dive ahead. He's going to be short of the first down by about a yard. Puts the Raiders, well, it would have put the Raiders in an interesting position, but it looks like we're going to have a holding call on the Raiders. That's exactly what we have. So push them back 10 yards unless the Cardinals decide to decline it, but they probably learned their lesson on that last one.
They declined it last time. We'll see what they do this time. Yeah, they ran that low-risk pass play, and really I'll bet that Coach Coles is quite happy about that penalty, because that would have been a very interesting decision that he would have had there on 4th and very short.
47.4 left, so really for the Raiders, if they weren't going to go for it on that last 4th down, just gives them an extra play to run time off the clock, so maybe not the worst thing to happen. Kind of a prevent being played here by the Cardinals, as they have 4 defensive backs lined up right across the 25. Instead, it'll just be a handoff. Run some time off the clock. You have to expect a timeout here by the Cardinals, and we do get a defensive timeout. So the Raiders will be forced to punt. There is 28.5 left for the Cardinals to try to tack on some points here and take the lead before half. But after the punt, you'd have to expect about 20 seconds left in the game, or in the half, I should say. It's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, one of the things that we saw the Raiders do earlier this season in this situation is to punt the ball out of bounds and not allow a return. So it'll be interesting to see what the punt looks like here. And the Cardinals are probably going to come out and try to get the ball with about 20 seconds left and maybe call a play to get themselves 10, 15 yards, then maybe take a shot is what they're thinking by calling a timeout here. But they may bring the house here trying to block this punt.
Maybe.
But we see we do have a different punter in here. Bennett's into punt.
So.
And we've seen him this year kind of take the ball out to the outside and then punt it, almost like a short kick.
I was gonna say I'm expecting the scramble punt here. We'll see what Bennett does. High punt. Bennett doesn't really have time to scramble, so he'll just punt it down the field. And that'll go all the way down to the 46. And about 11 seconds come off the clock, so great job there by Bennett. I'm sure he would have preferred to run around a little bit, but
still,
objective one is catch the punt, or catch the snap, and then at that point he just had to punt it away.
Yeah, did a really nice job getting that ball out of there. The coverage team was there too, and really best case scenario there for the Raiders. They had a pretty decent punt and no opportunity for a return. Raiders able to down the football at about the Chippewa Falls 46-yard line.
So not a whole lot of plays to try to get you into scoring position here with 17 seconds left. Cardinals probably don't want to risk anything here. But again, I'm not a high school coach, so we'll see what happens.
They come out in shotgun. Looks like they're going to try to throw it.
Maybe you can connect on one play down the field and try a long field goal. Peterson drops back. He's looking long. He'll scramble in the pocket, and he'll throw it short. And he had his tight end looking for a pass interference.
That was nearly intercepted. You may see a little more conservative play here on second down because that was very close to being intercepted.
11.5 left in the half. Peterson again in the shotgun. Maybe seen inside handoff here. No, low snap. Peterson trying to get to the outside. And he'll look to pass, and he gets it to about the 45-yard line. Clock will continue to run, though, and that will be the end of the first half. So the Cardinals, God bless them, they went for it. But they don't even get a first down here as the half expires. Now it looks like they're trying to get time added back on the clock.
Yeah, the coaching staff was just going insane at the end of that play. But the officials call it a half.
So the Raiders will run to the locker room with a 7-6 lead. Both teams score touchdowns. The difference, though, is the blocked extra point when the Raiders blocked the Cardinals on their touchdown a few moments ago. So the Raiders will go into the half here at homecoming at Newton Field with a lead 7-6. A very impressive first half, mainly defensively for the Raiders, but the offense also had its moments.
Yeah, they had a really nice drive, first drive of the game. And really, they looked pretty good moving the ball. They had a few moments where they've had some of those penalties that have hampered them all season long. But they did look pretty good out there. I mean, that's pretty good football game, first half of a game for the Raiders. You have the two-time defending champs come in, haven't lost a Big Rivers game since 2006, and to go into the half up 7-6 and feel pretty good about your defensive effort. The Cardinals didn't look all that impressive other than their scoring drive. The Raiders able to kind of keep them from doing what they wanted to do.
And Chris, you alluded to it a little bit. I think coming into this game, we both had our reservations about scheduling Chippewa Falls, the team who hasn't lost, like you said, in 17 Big Rivers Conference games, to be your homecoming game. You usually want to win all homecoming or win all home games, but homecoming is especially important to the students. So to schedule such a powerhouse like Chippewa Falls, and to walk into the halftime up 7-6, it's got to be a huge thing for the fans and for the team.
Yeah, well, the Big Rivers sets the schedule, unfortunately, for the Raiders. They didn't have an opportunity to really schedule anybody, and their next home game doesn't come until October 8th, and that's against Menominee. So, again, that's another pretty tough opponent. So, really, the Raiders kind of put their back against the wall as far as being able to schedule an opponent that may be thought of as a lesser opponent for homecoming. But hey, what better way to cap off homecoming than with a victory over a team that hasn't lost in 3 years? I mean, that's a celebration if you can come off the field there. But if I remember correctly, Paul, I think last season when the Raiders traveled to Chippewa Falls to take on this Cardinals team, we went to the half 0-0. Raiders and Cardinals played a chess match that whole first half, and the Cardinals able to get a couple scores in the second half, if I recollect that correctly. I know it was a very closely played game that the Raiders unfortunately came out on the bottom of that ball game. But when these two teams play each other, and we talked a little bit earlier in this game, Chuck Rakovic scheduled Holman, at least according to the reports out, just to get ready for this Hudson game because he felt like Holman typically will run the option. And that was something that the Raiders really did well last year, was run the option. I think folks thought that was going to be the main part of the offense this season too. So Chuck Rakovic seems to really respect this Hudson Raider team.
So the Raiders will go into half here up 7-6. We've got some more homecoming ceremonies that will be going on here at half as the festivities continue all day. As we had the parade earlier, we also had the spirit bus go out. Some seniors from the football team and some senior cheerleaders rode a bus out to some elementary schools to display some school pride district-wide. And then, of course, after the game, we'll have the dance which Chris, I don't believe we're on the chaperone list for that dance, so we won't have too much inside.
I think if they see us two walking in, they'll probably lock the doors.
Especially if we have our camera. I don't think we'll be allowed in there. But anyways, we're going to go to the half. We'll come back for the second half. Raiders up 7-6. Hopefully they can come away with a win on homecoming night here at Homecoming 2009.
And now your Hudson High School.
Stars, they are so beautiful and clean. And the housemates fill the floors, they get the spaces in between. I wanna live a life like that. I wanna be just like a king. Take a picture at the pool, cause I'm the next big thing. That's what we go. That's what I want.
and a Waltz by Robbie Abukalia. The band is under the direction of Ryan McCarthy and Brittany Ritter. The drum majors are Katie Dickerson and Kim Sims. Drum majors Katie Dickerson and Kim Sims. Is the band ready? Hudson High School Marching Band, you may take the field for a homecoming performance.
Welcome back to Newton Field. The Raiders are up 7-6 after the half. Had a wonderful halftime performance by multiple different student organizations. We had the band, we had the cheerleaders, we had, I believe, what were called the Raid.
The Raiders, the
Airs,
dance team.
I believe is what they were called.
They're winners of several state and I believe national championships. I actually attended a Raid Air recital earlier this spring. The end of the season, the Raid Airs have an event. They invite the whole community out to see what they do, and I had the good fortune to videotape that for Channel 15. That was, I believe, back in spring, and they kind of do a nice send-off to all their senior dancers. It's a pretty good little community event. People get a chance to go out and see it at the end of the year, and you're a fan of dance.
Now
I recommend it.
Was this actually a tryout, Chris?
Yeah, I'm part of the team.
You didn't quite make it.
You notice I wasn't here during halftime. I was down on the field, and now you've broken my cover.
So we have the captains out at center field here as the Raiders and the Cardinals will be getting ready to kick off here in the second half. The Raiders kicked off in the first half, so they'll get the ball to start the second, barring an onside kick of any sort. And right now, the blocked extra point is the difference in this game, as the Raiders scored once, the Cardinals scored once, and of course the blocked extra point gave the Raiders the lead at half. Pretty much a defensive battle, even though we've seen both offensive teams march up and down the field. There's just been different circumstances that have stopped either one. For the Raiders, it's been the penalties. For the Cardinals, it's been a few fourth down stops and third down stops. So we're a few moments away here from kickoff at Newton Field, homecoming. We have the dance after this. Well, we don't have the dance, but the students will be going to the dance. We also had the parade earlier, which will be aired on Channel 15 throughout the week, as well as this game, and as well as all of the games in which we're broadcasting for the Raiders. You can catch on Channel 15.
The Raiders kicked off in the first half, so now they'll be receiving. Able to get their offense on the field first and hopefully set the tone for the second half. They looked very sharp in their first possession of the first half, and we hope to see more of the same here in the second half. See the Raiders move the ball well and take it down in the end zone and extend that lead.
So if the Raiders can come with a quick score here to start the second half, they will be putting themselves in a great position to win this game, as it's been very low scoring. 7-6 is the score. If they could get up, get the extra point through and go up by 8, you'd have to like their chances here on homecoming, but getting way ahead of ourselves here. The squib kick lands at about the 30. One of the up men take it, gets to about the 35. That's all you're trying to do if you get the ball right there. He dives ahead to the 35, and pretty decent field position to start for the Raiders.
Yeah, Smersna has looked pretty good when he's had the ball, but that's really an interesting strategy there. That's got to be the best field position the Raiders have had off of a kickoff tonight. Of course, the Cardinals just kicking off one time in this game.
Bo Holmes in at quarterback. Tyler Smith moves in motion. Holmes keeps it himself. He's going to move up the middle, and he'll get to about the 42. So Bo Holmes even had the PA announcer confused there as he called out Davey Branson. Instead, it's Holmes. And what do you make of this, Chris?
Yeah, well, we haven't seen him since the Wisconsin Rapids game, and maybe they just brought him in. He's a senior. Let's make a spark here in the homecoming game, see what he can do. He was dressed. He looked good in warm-up, so apparently he's ready to go.
Fresh legs don't hurt either. These guys played a pretty physical first half. Holmes will keep it again himself. He'll pick up the first down and then some. He'll get down to the 44, but one of those pesky flags comes out on the far side. And that is once again in that holding area.
Yeah, let's hope this penalty isn't against Hudson. It seems like they just kill themselves so many times with these penalties. I mean, they're moving the ball well, and here's another penalty that hopefully doesn't put a stop to this drive. Hopefully the Raiders can overcome this, but another tough penalty here to slow down what looked to be a very promising drive there. 2 plays, Raiders moving the ball quite well with Holmes.
And the holding might be the reason why there, that they were able to move the ball so effectively on that play. As Bo Holmes has had his number called twice in a row here, his first 2 snaps of the game. He's in the shotgun again. And we had some jumping here, and this might be a false start on the Raiders as they continue to shoot themselves in the foot here early in the second half.
Yeah, it's just a real shame. It looked like the Raiders were going to get out and get going here to start this half, and now they keep pushing themselves backwards.
2nd and 13 now. So that good first down run by Bo Holmes now a thing of the past. He's in the shotgun. He's got Tyler Smith in motion. Smith will take the ball. He's looking for some room on the outside, but at best he'll get back to the original line of scrimmage, and we'll have a 3rd and long.
Yeah, that play seemed pretty effective, and that time there Chippewa Falls had it solved right on top of it. So that could be an adjustment, or it could just be that time the Cardinals defense executed and they weren't executing earlier on. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if that's effective later on tonight.
3rd and 9 for the Raiders. They're up 7-6 here. Their first drive in the first half. Trying to pick up that first down, which it will come at about the 45-yard line. Dropping back to pass is Holmes. He's got a man open, but he will be well short of the sticks. He only gets to about the 41-yard line, so that'll be short of a first down by about 4 yards, that pass to Derek Crumry. So the punting team will come on the field.
I haven't seen a lot of him yet this year, but nice to see the Raiders getting the ball to somebody else. But, boy, just a tough thing to see again. Penalties, putting a stop to what looked to be a really promising drive.
15 yards of penalties, and they end up 4 yards short of the first down. That will be the story of this drive. Bennett out to punt, kind of a knuckleball. Takes a very nice Hudson hop. Goes all the way down to the 24-yard line, so the Raiders will take that, as the Cardinals will take control at their own 24, looking to take the lead here down 7-6.
Yeah, the Cardinals have had some really pretty looking punts. The Raiders' punts look pretty ugly, but the effectiveness is the same because the coverage team able to get down there and not allow any returns out of the Cardinals. And maybe that's the strategy. You know, you just kind of kick it away and get your coverage team where you need them to be and not allow any of those returns. That's where you get crushed on the punts. If your coverage team can get down there and put a stop to it and down the ball, you're going to get a pretty decent net no matter what.
Sometimes you can out-kick your coverage. So far the Raiders have been under-kicking their coverage, but in a good way, as really neither team has been able to make much of these punts. They've just been so low. Now the first carry of the drive by the Cardinals, that is Humpner. He'll pick up a few, and we'll have a 2nd and long.
Yeah, and that looked kind of like what we saw early in the first half. Humpner taking the ball up the middle and not getting much. So hopefully we'll see more of those not getting much type runs out of Humpner here.
Humpner with the only touchdown for the Cardinals, and it was actually a receiving touchdown. Made a great catch in traffic, but of course that extra point is the difference in the game. 2nd and 7 here for the Cardinals. The pitch will go up the middle. Big hit there by the defense of the Raiders will stop them short of the first down. That's Humpner again. So the collision ends right at around the 30-yard line, so we'll set up about a 3rd and 4.
And again, not much, and Chippewa Falls hasn't seemed to be one for wanting to go for it on 4th down. So if the Raiders can get another stop here, they may be getting the ball back.
Looks like Eric Kirkpatrick was throwing himself in on that last tackle. Shotgun formation. Pass up the middle, and that will go for a 1st down as the number 1 target, it seems to be for the Cardinals, number 48, Matt Lease, as he's had quite a few catches across the middle. It seems like every time they drop back, they're looking in his direction. He just kind of finds a spot in the zone and sits down, and they throw it right into his gut.
Chippewa Falls has been pretty effective throwing the ball, other than the sack and that ugly-looking pass to end the first half. Chippewa Falls has looked good when they've tried to throw it.
Back to the wishbone. Got a man in motion. The pitch to the outside. This is Humpner. He's got some space on the outside, and he'll pick up the 1st down. He'll stay on his feet, and he'll get to about the 47-yard line. That'll be a 1st down for Humpner.
And that's where Chippewa Falls had their success in the first half as well, was running along the outside edges, because the inside defensive line seems to have sealed off pretty well, but the Cardinals may be looking to get out on the outside a little bit more tonight because they've been successful on those edges.
1st down at the 48, it looks like. They'll go back to that wishbone formation. Handoff up the middle. Maybe a pickup of 1 there, so good job by the defense of the Raiders to stop that one.
Yeah, a new carrier there for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals. That one there, Anthony Dinger, and he just couldn't get the motor going there. The Raiders' defensive line put the kibosh on that run.
So we'll stop short before we get on the pun train as far as Dinger is concerned. 2nd and long here from about midfield. Make it the 49, man in motion. Peterson drops back, looking to pass. He's getting pursued by the Raiders defense. He'll make 1 man miss. Now he's going to try to get to the outside, and he'll actually pick up a few yards. But a great pursuit there by number 95, yeah. Ethan Denauer just couldn't quite get to his feet.
I'm not sure what Ethan's night is going to look like on the scorecard, but he's blown up a couple of plays tonight and just wasn't the guy that finished off the play, but he's blown up a couple of Chippewa Falls' opportunities to pick up some big yards.
Yeah, again, on that pass play, it was pretty much broken up right away as the scramble was on. So now they're at midfield. This will set up a 3rd down and about 8. So big play here, shotgun. Peterson drops back. He'll step up in the pocket. He's going to elude one man. Now he's motioning his man deep. He's going to run for it. He's going to have the first down. He's going to get all the way down to the 37-yard line. So good play there by Peterson as he was able to pick up that first down. Might have had the defense fooled there. He was past the line of scrimmage, still looking downfield, and he didn't quite have defenders pursuing him. They were still trying to stay on their man defensively.
Yeah, and he broke a few tackles, and the crowd here is getting a little bit uneasy with that play, and that seemed like Peterson was able to make something more out of that play than really he should have.
Wishbone formation again for the Cardinals. Peterson under center. Man in motion is Dinger. Pitch to Humpner. Humpner will get wrapped up. Great tackle there by number 27 for the Raiders, Sam Stevens, excuse me.
And that time they tried that edge, and the Raiders had nice penetration, able to slow down Humpner. Wasn't able to make his initial go the way he wanted to go, and that was just enough to allow the outside backers to get there and put a stop to that play.
So the Raiders defense winning a few of these battles, but the war of this drive continues to favor the Cardinals as they're second down and 10 at the 37 in Raider territory. Humpner in motion. Now we have a fumble. Ball will end up in
I think the
hands
Raiders
of the
have
Raiders. Waiting for the signal, and there it is. The Raiders come away with the fumble. So a huge mistake there by the Cardinals as they were marching, and just another bad snap, not quite handled by Peterson. This time it ends up right in the arms of the Raiders, and they'll have a first down near midfield.
I saw that through the zoom of the lens, Paul. You may not have been able to see it, but that was not the snap. That was the handoff to Jaquish, and it just Peterson didn't get his body turned. That's the thing about that wishbone. The quarterback has to do a pirouette and was unable to get his body turned, and the ball came loose.
So first down for the Raiders. Still out there is Holmes. Holmes will drop back to pass. He's got a man wide open long, and he overshoots him. He had two men beyond the defenders. Tyler Smith was open. You also had number 81, Derek Krumrai. He was open. You had two guys open downfield behind the coverage. He missed both of them.
That was a well-designed play. We're going to see more of that tonight because it looked to me like the Raiders intentionally had kind of a bobble up there. It looked like a bad handoff, and the Chippewa Falls defenders went right for that handoff, and Smith was left alone going down the field.
So maybe catching the Cardinals a little antsy to create their own turnover. Had a couple men beat deep. I was actually looking at Krumrai as the wide open man, and then Tyler Smith was wide open. Second down run, will get stuffed. We'll have a gain of 0, and we'll have a 3rd and 10.
And again, that was Tyler Smith on the delay. It seemed like when the Raiders have success running with Smith, they get him the ball when he's already at full speed. They ran a little bit of a delay there to him, and the Cardinal defense right there waiting for him.
And Smith might be a little tired from that previous play where he was sprinting downfield 40 yards. So 3rd and 9 is what they're going to call over the PA system here. Dropping back to pass is Holmes. The lefty will look down the field. He's got Smith again. Smith is open. He's got it right around the 30. He'll go out of bounds at the 21-yard line. So Tyler Smith not tired at all as he beats the defender there. Nice throw by Holmes right into his chest. He's able to catch it around the 30, tiptoes the sideline, and picks up an extra 5 yards.
And this is pretty neat to see. This is the quarterback that Coach Coles wanted to start the season with, and it looks like this is a completely different offense. They're throwing the ball a lot more with Holmes in there rather than Branson.
So Chippewa Falls defense not quite sure what to make of this quarterback change. Holmes is going to keep it and then hand it off to Tyler Smith. Smith with another effective run, uses the spin move. He'll get down to the 15.
That time they ran that delay again, but the Cardinals maybe a little bit on their heels after that long pass play.
We have a Cardinal getting up gingerly, and running off the field is Alex Ruff. Looked like we were going to have a timeout. No timeout is called, though. 5:02 left here in the third quarter. Raiders up 7-6, looking to add on to this lead. 2nd and 5. Bo Holmes in the shotgun. He'll hand it off to Tyler Smith. Smith trying to get around the edge, and he is going to trip himself up. And might have gotten a little excited to see that end zone, and he ended up tripping over his own feet, and he'll be near the first down marker. He'll be short, though. This will set up a 3rd down, and Chris looked like he was just a little too excited. He spun his wheels a little bit.
He's certainly the speediest guy on the field for the Raiders, and maybe the speediest guy in the field overall. And at that point, like you say, he just spun his wheels. He was trying to turn it on and just couldn't figure out what he wanted to do. And sometimes your own speed gets the best of you.
He was already trying to think of how excessive he could make his dance without trying to get a penalty in the end zone. So 3rd and short. And we're going to have a timeout called by the Raiders. So interesting call to spend a timeout there in a close game. 4:04 left here in the 3rd quarter. Raiders want to make sure they get this play right. It's 3rd and 1. So, you know, heard some rumblings in the crowd. Why would you call a timeout there? But this is a very important drive for the Raiders. They see an opportunity to add on to the score here, and if they can get a touchdown, you know, they're going to be in very good position to win.
We don't see the play clock here, but the coaches are watching the referee in the offensive backfield, and the play clock may have been winding down. The Raiders actually were called for a couple of delay of game calls last week against Superior that really put a stop to some of their drives. So that we may not have seen it, and that may have been what happened there, is the play clock may have been winding down, and the coaches called the timeout. So we stay in this 3rd and short instead of a 3rd and 6.
The Raiders have been bit a few times with penalties. Very well may have called that timeout to avoid yet another drive-killing penalty. 3rd and 1. 3 backs in the backfield. We'll have a sneak. Bo Holmes will dive over the top of the pile. He should have the first down. We'll wait for the officials to signal for it before we make it official.
Well, Davey Branson has done an incredibly admirable job filling in for the injured Holmes in this season. But this offense just looks, on this drive, to be much more confident than really we've seen this offense in the last couple games.
So it makes you wonder why Holmes didn't start the game. They started with Branson and never went to Holmes until the start of the 2nd half. So very interesting move. Tyler Smith, he'll take the handoff. He's trying to find some room on the outside. He'll pick up a couple yards. We'll make it 2nd down. So what would you make of the reasoning to not play Holmes at all in the first half and then go exclusively with him here in the 2nd?
Well, I think, like I said, Branson's done an admirable job. You can't say that the guy's done anything wrong. He looks really good with the ball, and I think the coaching staff probably wanted to give him an opportunity to get out there, see what the Raiders can do, and maybe they feel like they could do a little bit more with Bo Holmes in the game.
2 wide receivers left, 1 right. Andy Edholm in the backfield. So Holmes and Edfield. And now Holmes has it. He's looking to pass to the end zone. He's got his man open. Touchdown, Raiders. Derek Krumrai, who has been targeted many times here in this game so far, gets the touchdown and puts the Raiders up by 7, pending the extra point.
That offense looks like the offense last year that Chase Graskowitz ran. I mean, that's as good as we've seen this offense this year.
So if the Raiders can make this ever important extra point, they'll be up by 8. It is up. And the officials signal that the kick is good. So the Raiders are up by 8 points here with a score of 14-6. So another huge touchdown for the Raiders. And now, homecoming game, playing a team that hasn't lost in 3 years in the conference. All the confidence and all the momentum has to be on the Raiders' side right now.
Absolutely. The sideline looks energized, and for sure the crowd is energized. The crowd was starting to look a little uneasy towards the end of the first half, and now everybody's up and excited, and we're hearing woo-hoos again instead of uh-ohs.
There was quite a bit of grumbling with the penalties that were killing some drives earlier, but that drive picture perfect for the Raiders. Ends with a nice touchdown pass along the near side here to Krumrai. And the Raiders in a very good position in this game right now, up 14-6. And the way their defense is playing, you know, that may be all you need.
Yeah, it could be. I would feel a little more comfortable with one more score, but the Raider defense certainly has been up to the challenge tonight against Chippewa Falls.
Waiting for the kick from the 40. Huge boot all the way down to the 8-yard line. Good height on the kick. And the Cardinal will break away. He's got a couple men to beat. He slips and falls at about the 47-yard line. So good return there by the Cardinals.
Paul, I was going to say even the kicker looks more energized. That's probably the longest kickoff we've seen this season. And unfortunately, we've been talking about those kind of goofy-looking, not pretty ugly-looking kicks. Well, there's a beauty of a kick, and the coverage not able to be there.
So great field position for the Cardinals. So the momentum ticks slightly more away from the Raiders with that kickoff return. So good job there by the Cardinals to put themselves in a position to try to tie this game up as they'll start at the 47.
Well, if the defense can get a stop here, this would be huge for the morale of this football team.
Wishbone formation. Peterson will hand off to Jack Wish. Jack Wish will bounce off of a few defenders. Second effort will put him at about the 49. So pick of about 4 yards. We'll make it 2nd and 6.
Yeah, the first man there to touch Jackwish was from behind. And I like to see what he did there. He took a swipe at that ball. The Raiders are looking for a turnover here. They really want to turn this football game just the other way around and possibly put this team away.
2:20 left here in the third quarter. Raiders with the 14-6 lead. And the pitch inside, Humpner. He'll fall forward, maybe 2 yards. We'll make it a 3rd and 4, so big play here by the Raiders. Pretty obvious 2-down territory for the Cardinals, so right here you'd like to stop them. No gain or a loss of yardage, maybe if you want to try to get them to punt. Otherwise, you're going to have to make 2 stops here.
Yeah, I think you have to look for the run to the edge or possibly a pass here. That's what Chippewa Falls have been most effective doing in this type of situation, is going around the edge or looking for a pass up the middle.
Decent sized crowd on the other side for Chippewa Falls. They're trying to get their team excited here. 3rd down and 4. The pitch to Jack Wish. He's got some space. He'll get you about to the 1st down marker, and he should have enough for the 1st down. We'll wait for the spot, but looks like they're going to mark it. Should be a 1st down. They might take a measurement here, but I'd wager a hot dog that they picked up the 1st down on that one.
Yeah, it looks to me they have it pretty easily here. I'd say by a foot or so.
Normally we aren't able to make as precise of a call as we are on this one, where we're pretty much directly in front of us. But who knows, maybe they won't stretch out those chains all the way. Picked it up by a football and a half.
Well, Cardinals able to get a 1st down there, but the Raider defense made them work for it. They can keep series like that where they just don't allow anything big. 2-3 yards at a crack, and that's it. Hopefully they can force the Cardinals to stop this drive.
So 1:20 left here in the third quarter. Raiders up by 8. Wishbone formation, Humpner. He'll take the pitch. He'll get wrapped up right away. Pickup of maybe 2 yards.
That one was right in Chaz Larson's living room. I think he was even surprised that it was that easy of a play to make, because he was standing right next to Humpner when he took the handoff.
So Humpner, whose patience and hole finding ability we had praised earlier in the game, seems to have diminished a little bit since he had that minor ding earlier in the game. Doesn't look like he's running any more gingerly. Peterson back to pass, trying to contain his number 95 for the Raiders. Big hit on the sideline. No, it was number 45, Arthur Vinzant, laying a big hit on Peterson. And you saw Ethan Denauer, who has been following the quarterback all game long. He was trying to contain him and get ahead of him there and cut off the angle, and he kind of tripped over himself, which allowed Peterson to pick up some yardage.
Peterson's been pretty effective running the ball, but the Raider defense can continue to train him and let him know that he's going to get hit. He's going to be less likely to want to do that.
It's another big third down, make it 3rd and 3. Wishbone again. Jackwish takes the pitch. He's got space up the middle, and he'll easily pick up the first down. He'll get to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like the Raiders maybe are reading this to go to Humpner every time, because the Cardinals have gone to Jackwish on their third downs the last 2 times here, and Jackwish has been successful. So maybe you need to go to a different read on third down. But, of course, when they do that, then they'll give it to Humpner. But I guess you have to read the guy that's leading the conference in rushing.
So this should be the last play of the third quarter, if they even decide to snap this one. Wishbone formation. And the pitch against to Jackwish. He'll pick up a few, and now we have a flag towards the end of the play. Raiders,
that's in the territory of a face mask.
Raiders would love to have a holding on the Cardinals for once. We'll see what that call is, though. Face mask, we have some fans that are arguing, but that's one of the harder ones to argue. If you're an official, you probably saw a hand in the face mask, and that's why we'll have a penalty.
Yeah, it either happens or it doesn't happen. You don't see too many ghost face mask penalties. I mean, you can argue with them maybe on a holding every once in a while, but you don't see too many ghost face mask penalties. And boy, it seems like the Raiders are able to play their opponents neck and neck, and sometimes even tonight look better than their opponents. But boy, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot with these penalties. And we've seen it, really have seen it all season long, unfortunately.
And so, well, the quarter apparently can end on a defensive penalty. I can't say I've heard that rule before. So we'll have a bonus play here in the third. Maybe to prevent some sort of weather advantage that might occur in some games where a penalty at the end of a quarter could affect kicking into the wind or against the wind, or who knows.
Paul, that's what I call second-level thinking. I'm glad you figured that out. That's second-level thinking.
Otherwise, I have no idea why a quarter could not end on a defensive penalty. But
well, you know, a game can end on that, so maybe they'll just breaking up the quarters into mini games.
Could be.
There was a little bit of a discussion there, though, so maybe somebody thought the same thing we were thinking. Really? Is that really the law, the rule?
Or did you mean regulation? Well, it looks like we'll have another play here in the third quarter. At the 0-0-0 mark of the third quarter, the Cardinals will run another play here. Jackwish will get wrapped up and tackled at the 17-yard line. Make it the 18-yard line.
That was a nice-looking tackle there by Chaz Larson. Jackwish was continuing to move his feet and just kind of following the pile, and Chaz Larson wrapped him up and threw him to the ground. Nice-looking tackle there.
So the bonus play nets about 2 yards. We'll move it down to the other side of the field now for the fourth quarter. Raiders still up 14-6. But the Cardinals, with the aid of some penalties by the Raiders again, are marching and looking to tie this game up. Of course, if they score, probably going to go for the 2-point conversion to try to tie it up. And that will be a mini battle in itself if we get to that point.
Absolutely. And again, this football team, if they can stop themselves from making these penalties, we could be talking about a completely different team, because, I mean, we saw it last week. We've seen it all season long. It's just these penalties have really killed drives and killed opportunities to score. And here they've really extended the life of the Chippewa Falls drive, giving them an extra 15 yards for nothing here.
So homecoming game here for the Raiders at Newton Field. They're up 14-6, playing on Chippewa Falls, who we've mentioned a few times have won 17 straight conference games. So it seemed like a daunting task here for the Raiders to try to walk away with a win. even though they're in front of their hometown crowd on homecoming game and have some pretty pumped up players and fans, it still seemed like it would be quite a challenge, and it still could turn out to be quite challenging. But right now they have an 8-point lead, and they're trying to stop the Cardinals from getting into the end zone to try to tie the game. Wishbone formation again. Jackwish with it. He's got some space in front of him. He'll plunge forward. He's near the 10-yard line. He'll be short of the first down.
Pretty nice run. He looks speedy going through that hole there. Michael Bennett's a real horse on defense for the Raiders, but you don't like it when Michael Bennett makes the tackle, because when he makes the tackle, that means some other guys didn't make the tackle.
Yeah, you'd much rather have Michael Bennett end up with an interception or a batted pass. So second down and 2. It looks like Jackwish will have it again. He'll plunge ahead. He should have enough for the first down.
Paul, that should have been third down, but you're right, the marker showed second down. But they did run their first down play with no time left in the clock in the third quarter. But, of course, with Jackwish getting the first down, it really doesn't matter.
Down to 11-17 left in regulation. Raiders up by 8. The Cardinals with a very impressive drive so far, trying to get in the end zone. Peterson under center. Pitch to Jackwish again. He will have his knees buckle under him right when he gets inside the 5. He'll get tackled. So he'll pick up a yard or so. He'll get down to about the 4-yard line.
The Cardinals certainly haven't completely gone away from Humpner, but since he came up limping, we haven't seen as much of him as we've seen Jackwish. Jackwish seems to be the primary ball carrier since Humpner hurt his knee, but he's still in the game and still carrying the ball, but not with the frequency that he was earlier.
And when Humpner has gotten some carries, he has seemed to be less effective. 2nd and 5 is what they'll say. Ball at the 5-yard line. Jackwish again. They continue to go with that play. He'll get maybe half of the yardage needed. We'll say he gets to about the 3-yard line, and we'll have a 3rd down and goal from the 3. So we're really getting to crunch time here, Chris.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Raiders are able to stop him. Maybe Chippewa Falls would go ahead and try to kick a field goal here, all depending on where the ball is and what part of the field it's on. That 2-point conversion is certainly no guarantee. It'll be interesting to see what happens if the Raiders can get a stop here. A big 3rd down.
So 3rd and 3, we're under 10 minutes. Wishbone formation. Jackwish again, he's trying to get to the outside, and he will get smashed right around the 2-yard line, and he is driven right when it looked like he was going to turn it upfield for the touchdown. In swoops the Raiders defense and just knocks him horizontally.
Yeah, this will be an interesting call, and Coach Rakovich calls a timeout for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals, because this is an interesting call in that you go for the touchdown, hope to get the 2 and tie it up. You could kick the field goal, but the way the Raiders looked on offense, that may put some more pressure on the Cardinals to think we need to score a touchdown here, because the Raider offense seemed to move the ball at will on their last possession. So this will be a very, very interesting decision for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals to decide what they do.
If I was a betting man, I'd say they're going to go for it.
I believe I would bet with you on that.
But the field goal is a very viable coaching option at this point. But
with the ball on that far hash mark, I'm not sure how talented the Cardinals kicker is, but most high school kickers will struggle with that angle because they are so close to the end zone and they're on the far hash mark. That's a really difficult angle to kick from, especially from a right-footed kicker. A left-footed kicker maybe could do it, but that's a tough spot for a kicker to try to make a field goal. And the pressure that the Raider offense put on the Cardinals, they may just go for it here.
So they're going to go for it on 4th down. They have to get in the end zone. There is no coming up short here for the Cardinals. Peterson under center. This time they go to Humpner, and he will dive into the end zone for the touchdown. So Humpner, who's been quiet this entire drive, plunges in.
That was an ugly touchdown. he was stopped initially and just kept grinding, and that's a 205-pound running back is what that is. I mean, he was able to just power his way into the end zone.
And like you said, initially I thought they had him stopped. But before you knew it, the official threw up his arms, signaled touchdown. And now
Well, this is a big play here, Paul.
Cardinals going for 2, so we're at about the same situation we were on 4th down. Of equal importance is this 2-point conversion. This time they'll hand it off to Humpner again, actually. They did the misdirection with Jackwish, and Humpner gets in for 2, and just like that, the Cardinals sideline erupts as we have a tie game, 14-14 with 9:22 left in the 4th quarter. And this Raiders sideline, this Raiders crowd is really silenced here as they kind of were in cruise control throughout the entire game, and suddenly just like that, you've got a tie game. It looked like the Raiders were going to kind of, ride this momentum off that last touchdown and win this game. Instead, here we are tied 14-14.
Yeah, a huge couple of plays there by the Cardinals, able to get it in there on 4th down and then follow it up with that 2-point conversion. Had they scored and not get the 2-point conversion, I think the Raiders had to feel it was a victory defensively. But again, the 15-yard face mask penalty is what really put that drive into high gear. The Cardinals were moving the ball well and may have scored anyway, but you certainly don't want to give your opponent a free 15 yards. And again, kickoff return as well. Remember, the Cardinals only had to go 52 yards there to score a touchdown.
That is a great point, as that kickoff, which was a very nice kickoff after you had the rowdy crowd and the sideline going crazy. A nice kickoff by the Raiders ends up being returned to the 47, led to that game-tying drive. The Raiders offense will come back on the field, squib kick, and the Raiders taking way too much time to get that ball and getting knocked out at the sideline at about the 31-yard line, so maybe only a return of about 5 or 6 yards. And if you're the Raiders up men there, you got to step up, try to get that ball, as the defense was about 5 yards away from the ball before they even picked it up.
It looked like the Raiders may have had a chance to do something with that. Returner got it outside, but again, the coverage was pretty much there by the time they picked up the ball.
So the Raiders offense, which looked very efficient with quarterback Bo Holmes on the last drive, takes the field again. Holmes in the shotgun. Had that passing touchdown. He'll hand off this time to Hilden. Hilden's got some space. He'll try to get to the outside. He gets by one man, he gets by another man, and he gets near midfield. He'll be out at about the 44. So very nice carry by Travis Hilden there.
Hilden's kind of the junior version of Tyler Smith, and if the Raiders can get Travis Hilden going with Tyler Smith, they're going to be successful offensively. I mean, there's just too many weapons on the field if Hilden's out there running the ball like that.
And I'm a little surprised by the success the Raiders have had going to the outside, where normally you have Edholm carving up the middle, allowing that outside to be open, but they've pretty much just had all of their success to the outside. Here's Edholm trying to carve up the middle on that one, and instead he gets tackled right around the 45-yard line, gain of 1 if he's lucky.
And that fullback position for the Raiders has been good for about 70 yards in each of their first 3 games, and it looks like the Cardinals came into this game prepared for that. They have not allowed that fullback to really do much at all tonight.
8:40 left in regulation. We've got a tie game, 14-14. 3 wide receivers, home in the backfield. And he'll keep it, and he'll pitch it out to Tyler Smith. That Smith has some room to run, and he had one man to beat. He got clothesline. They might call
They're going to call a horse collar there.
Or a horse collar, some sort of
face mask or a horse collar. That's going to give the Raiders that boost that Chippewa Falls got in the last drive. And really, Tyler Smith did a heck of a job not letting that ball go, because it looked like the ball was going to get shot loose.
Had he not gotten face mask, he
may have been gone.
He had a whole lot of field in front of him. We may see Tyler Smith break one before this night is over, as he's been just steps away from having an entire wide open field in front of him. That time he got clotheslined, so they'll still pick up 15 yards. But You know, if he's able to elude that face mask, he probably's gone on that run.
He may have been gone. And I'll tell you what, Paul, this team's starting to look much more fun to watch the way the offense has been operating these last couple of drives.
And not to short what Branson did, of course. It's just with home out there, like you said, seems to be a little bit more well-oiled of a machine. Hilden in motion. He'll get it. And now we're there's your horse collar tackle. We had the face mask on the previous one. And that one is your textbook.
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to call that. The crowd here, the Hudson crowd, saw that and they let loose. They wanted that penalty and they got it. I mean, it's pretty impossible not to call it there.
Usually when you look in rule books, you have like a diagram of about 2 pictures of what a penalty looks like. You would definitely have seen both of those pictures on that horse collar tackle right there.
Absolutely, that was the textbook horse collar.
That is very obvious call for the officials. And finally, the Raiders are being the beneficiaries, of these penalties, as we're under 8 minutes here in the tie game. Home is going to call his own number. He's going to keep it. He's trying to get to the outside. He'll get down to the 15. Good job of holding on to that ball. He was kind of out there on an island by himself. Had some defenders licking their chops to try to slap that ball away. He's able to hold on to it and pick up about 5 yards.
For a guy who hasn't played in a football game for 2.5 games, he looked incredibly confident on that play. I mean, he looked like he knew exactly what he was going to do with himself. But here comes Branson into the game.
So not quite sure if Home may have re-aggravated whatever has been bothering him as he walks to the bench. Looks like he's going to take a seat. He'll have a trainer come look at him, I believe, or maybe he's just getting a water bottle. Either way, Branson is in the game. Handoff up the middle. Maybe a yard on the forward progress to the 14. But that'll be all. So it'll be a 3rd down and about 4 yards here.
Yeah, Holmes just looks like he's trying to catch his breath on the sideline. The manager's with him, but not any trainers or anything like that. Looks like he's getting ready to go back into the game here. He's approaching the coaching staff.
He'll get right in the face of his coach there, letting him know he wants to get back on the field. Branson in the shotgun in the 3rd and short. Ed Home with him to the left. Branson drops back. He's looking for the fade. He's got a man open, but a great defensive play there. That was number 9, the defensive back, Alex Ruff for the Cardinals. And maybe a little bit too much air under that throw allowed Ruff to catch up with it and bat it down.
Yeah, Ruff really was a defensive standout for the Cardinals last year. Made a couple nice plays tonight, and that was perfectly played by Ruff. He didn't take any chances. He just went up there and knocked that ball down.
Now we're going to have an attempted field goal. Snap is down, kick is up, and that one's got the distance, and that splits the uprights. Field goal is good for the Raiders. That was number 66, Jake Dennison. Normally a defensive lineman, kicks it right through the uprights, and just like that, the Raiders back on top, 17-14. And Chris, I would have never guessed a field goal would be the difference at this point in the game. You just don't see a lot of field goals in high school football.
With Holmes in the game there to hold, I was really thinking you could see a fake. That was pretty impressive. Dennison's been in there. I mean, he kicks the ball quite often on kickoffs, but that was a pretty impressive kick there by Dennison to give the Raiders the go-ahead field goal. Now it's all on the defense. If the defense can get out there and stay away from those penalties with 6:15 left, it's going to be a challenge for Chippewa Falls to get back down the field and get an opportunity to steal a win from the Hudson Raiders.
Not to take anything away from whoever Chippewa Falls' kicker may be, but this isn't necessarily get down to the 20-yard line and you're going to for sure have a tie game. High school field goals are kind of a crapshoot, so Chippewa Falls is still going to want to try to get all the way down, probably, inside the 10 if they want to try to come back and at least tie this game.
Absolutely.
Kickoff will get by the up man. He's going to have to return it from the 1. He's got quite a few Raiders. He'll get stuffed down at about the 2-yard line. He had no blockers to help him back there. I don't think his blockers saw that he let the ball go by him, and every single Raider defender saw that the ball went by him, and not much he could do on that one.
The Raider crowd and the Raider players are pumped up right now. The last time they were at this level of intensity is when they gave up that big return. So they need to play with intensity. You got an opportunity to pin your opponent down here, but you still have to stay home and don't give up anything big, because if you play consistent defense like they have for most of the evening, they're going to be just fine. You want to be intense, you want to be pumped up, but keep those emotions in check right now.
6:07 left in regulation, 97 yards in front of Chippewa Falls here as they find themselves trailing by 3 and not a lot of space behind them to work with. The handoff and stuffed near the line of scrimmage. That was Humpner. Say a gain of 0 on that one. That's going to set up a 2nd and 10.
Everybody stayed home. Nobody over pursued. And Humpner came into where the usual holes are, and no hole was there. The Raiders stayed home.
We're under 6 minutes left in regulation. The Raiders, with that field goal by Dennison, are up by 3 points. And the mistake on the kickoff by the Cardinals has them pinned deep. Now the pitch to Jackwish. Jackwish gets it outside of the 5 at least. So the Cardinals have to feel good about getting some space behind him to work with. But they still have about 7 yards to get for the first down. So
that's a play the Cardinals were ripping off 6-7 yards in the drive before this, and that time they just give up about 3.5. So a 3rd down and long for the Chippewa Falls Cardinals in the shadow of their own end zone here.
They're at about the 6. They need to get to about the 13 to pick up the first down. We're under 5 minutes. We're at 4:50 left here in regulation. Cardinals are in the shotgun, and they're going to call a timeout. So that'll buzzkill both sides of the crowd as the timeout puts a hush over everybody.
Yeah, everybody's excited. The Cardinals brought a nice crew with them to the game. The grandstands here on the home side is full, and all along the fence here is filled up as it's standing room only here at Newton Field, and everybody's pumped up and fired up here. This is a huge 3rd down. With 4:45 left in the game, you have to wonder if it's not 4 down territory for the Cardinals, but they came out there with a passing look, so maybe they're just thinking we need to pick it up on 3rd down. If we don't, we'll try to stay home and protect on the defensive end. But huge play coming up here on 3rd down.
Everything seems to be in favor of the Raiders here.
Cardinals have been very effective passing the ball tonight.
So both teams back on the field. Cardinal offense, Raider defense. Raiders looking for a big stop on 3rd and 7. We're at 4:45 left. Raiders are up by 3. Cardinals have to go another 94 yards to get to the end zone. Probably another 90 if they want to tie it up. Peterson drops back to pass. He's in the end zone. He will get sacked. And they'll motion for the safety. So they finally get to the quarterback, Peterson. And the sack will add 2 points to the Raiders. They're up by 5, and they're getting the ball back, Chris.
That was an enormous range of emotion on the field as the Cardinals were completely deflated on that play, and the Raiders erupted. That was the play of the ball game.
Like you said, the Cardinals look completely dejected. Players on the ground as if that was the end of the game. Cardinals, if you're the coaching staff, you got to pick them up. You tell them you get a defensive stop here. You get the ball back quick. You just go get a touchdown, you win the game. They're only down by 5. It's not like that put the Raiders up by 2 scores. It just makes it 5. They were probably going to have to score a touchdown anyways. So
yeah, the game is definitely not over, and the Raiders have opened up this offense, which is great, and it's been successful, but it also gives you an opportunity to turn the ball over. And if the Cardinals able to force a turnover, the makeup of this game changes completely. But this Cardinal team, you realize these juniors and seniors, these guys have never lost a conference game as starters. I mean, unless some of these kids were starting as freshman, sophomore, which I'm pretty sure they haven't. These guys have never walked off a field in a Big Rivers game losing a football game.
So the safety punt here, a football rarity. I won't say a rarity, but you don't see it often. A very nice punt, but it might have been an offsides. So now the Cardinals seem to be hurting themselves here, unless this could be on the Raiders. I guess we'll find out. There's a little confusion, but usually on the kick, the offsides will be on the kicking team.
They dropped the flag at the 30, though, and that's where the Raiders need to be. If the flag was dropped at the 20, you would think it's, yeah, it was. I believe that's going to be on the Raiders, and it was.
All
The
right.
Raiders, that's hopefully not a penalty that's really hurts them, but that's just that's a horrible penalty. I mean, there's just not an excuse for that.
So maybe due to the fact that you don't really line up for the safety punt, or maybe run through it once or twice in practice, but no excuse for that one, like you said, Chris. Kinnerman with the punt again. Another high punt. This one's end over end. Raiders will turn it upfield. This is Schmersnoff. He's got some room. He'll get to about the 43. Nice return, but the most important thing is that he held on to the ball. And the Raiders will begin at the 43 with good field position. But again, the Cardinals, as a coach, I would hate to see my players look as dejected as they did after that safety, when really all you have to do is come out, stop them, get the ball back. They're only down by 5, so the Cardinals not out of this game by any stretch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Raiders run their offense here. Branson back into the game and not Bo Holmes. But be interesting to see what the Raiders do on offense, because they don't want to turn the ball over, but you don't want to sit on it either.
So like you said, Branson's still in. We've got 2 wide receivers. This is Tyler Smith moving in motion. The handoff will go to Edholm. Actually, Branson will keep it himself. He'll get to the 49, so good play there on first down by Branson. Very convincing handoff, as I was even fooled.
Oh, the cameraman was fooled on that one too. Completely missed the play as followed Edholm on that, as did the Chippewa Falls defense.
God bless our nameless cameraman. He does
he's
thankless work up here.
He's done an effective job this evening, but struck out on that one.
49-yard line. Raiders second down, 5 yards to go. We're under 4 minutes. Couple first downs away from a homecoming victory. This time Hilden is in motion, and Branson will call his own number again. He'll spin it upfield. He'll get to about the 48 is where they'll spot it. This will set up a 3rd down and short. And the Raiders will love to eat up the clock with 3-yard pickups on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down all the way down the field.
Well, this offense is getting more and more fun to watch. I mean, we talked about Bo Holmes and the energy. Well, right there, Davey Branson ran that ball with no hesitation at all, right into the pile. Looked like a fullback on that run.
Getting down to 3:10 left in the shotgun. Branson, man in motion, is Tyler Smith, trying to get the defense to jump offside. Smith will move back. He'll reset. Hilden moves in motion. And the Raiders are going to let the play clock go all the way down, and they'll call a timeout. So 2:58 left here. 3rd and short. If the Raiders can pick this up, they can probably eat another minute and a half off the clock.
Yeah, you hate to call a timeout when you're trying to kill the clock, but this is a big play. And there was obviously some confusion there. Somebody was in motion that shouldn't have been in motion, and that threw the timing off for Davey, and I think somebody decided let's call a timeout. Probably a great idea, because it was looking like a lot of confusion on the field at that point.
You really don't want to get something wrong here, especially if you get called for a penalty for some sort of illegal motion. Not only do you lose 5 yards, also a stoppage of the clock. So might as well just kind of let that clock go down a little bit, call the timeout, get things reset.
Yeah, get the play that you want in this situation. It's third down and about 1.5 yards, and like you said, Paul, if you get the first down here, it's going to take another 1.5 minutes off the clock and take this game down to about a 1.5 minutes, a minute left in the game with 2:58 on the clock right now.
So 3rd and 3. Shotgun, 3 wide, Edholm in the backfield. Branson waiting for the snap. He has Hilden in motion. Handoff to actually the keeper to Branson. Now the pitch to Hilden. And Hilden will get all the way down to the 39-yard line for the first down.
And that's that option that Chuck Rakovic said he was afraid of. And the Raiders really have beaten up the Cardinals on the option tonight. It's been an incredibly effective play for the Hudson Raiders. They've picked up big yardage running that option this evening.
Hilden has made the correct call on the option pretty much every time they've run it here, whether it's keeping it himself and picking up 5 or 6 yards or pitching it to either Hilden or Smith for big gains on the outside. He's been very efficient as the option quarterback here, especially in the last 2 drives. Hilden in motion again. He'll line up in the backfield. This time it will go to Edholm. And Edholm will dive ahead for 3 yards. Clock continues to run.
That was Andy's nicest run of the evening. He's had a hard time getting himself going tonight. That time he broke some tackles, and guys had a hold of his legs, and he just cut through them, able to pick up 3 yards on first down as that clock ticks, and it's going to tick under 2 minutes before they get this playoff here on 2nd down and about 8.
So we're under 2 minutes. Winding inside of 150 as the Raiders are up 19-14 after that safety. So after the touchdowns by either team making it 14-14, Raiders will call another timeout. They don't have any left.
It seemed like it took a while for the Raiders to get out of the huddle, and again, we don't know. We're taking a look at so many other things. I have to think that maybe the play clock was getting away from them there again. I mean, it seemed like an interesting place to call a timeout.
Yep.
2nd down and about 8 at this point in the field. But this could really, if the Raiders are able to get out of here with this win tonight, they're able to hang on and keep doing what they're doing. This is going to send some shockwaves through this conference because a lot of people were looking at this Hudson Raider team at the beginning of the season as a team that could contend for the conference title. To go out in their opener and lose to Superior, I think there's probably guys like Chippewa Falls, Menominee were kind of relieved, saying, well, maybe this team isn't quite as good as many people thought. But if they can come off this field tonight with a win against Chippewa Falls, and we've documented it several times tonight, they haven't lost since 2006 in a Big Rivers Conference football game.
2nd and 8 for the Raiders. Branson in the shotgun. He's got one wide receiver split out right. He's got a man in motion, and we're going to have a flag, and this is going to be on the Raiders. So
that's disappointing to come out of a timeout and have a penalty like that. You don't want to see that penalty ever, but to have that come out of a timeout, it's even more disappointing.
Now, as a time-saving maneuver, I suppose you can't decline a penalty when it's pre-snap.
Yeah,
they'll be forced to accept that one, and I'll throw my theory out the window.
As a time-saving maneuver, the Cardinals need to stop the Raiders.
So another 2nd down play, but this time it is 13 yards to the first down. Shotgun for the Raiders. Branson will call his own number. He'll dive ahead. He'll get to about the 30 or 41.
Not much going there, but it keeps that clock ticking. And with 3rd down coming up here, it's going to be under a minute here, even if they don't get the first down. The Cardinals are going to have very little on the clock to work with here.
Not quite sure how many timeouts the Cardinals have left.
I know they've called at least 1, possibly 2. And I'm guessing they only have 1 or less to go, maybe none. Otherwise, they would be calling them right now.
Exactly my thoughts. 3rd down, 11 yards to go. And we're going to have another flag here. So
Well, now you're just giving the opponent 5 yards. I mean, you hope to not leave a lot of time on this clock and be able to run the clock down and not give them much time to work with, but you don't want to give them 10 yards like we just have here in the last couple of downs.
that play not as killer as the previous one is. It happened right at the snap, so the clock is going to continue to run after this play is run as much as it would have on that other one. But any thoughts of the first down and expiring the clock are probably now over, as you're going to put the ball in the hands of one of your running backs. Just do not turn the ball over. Branson gets ahead to about the 46, and there's that final timeout by the Cardinals.
Boy, the Cardinals did come here tonight with the attitude of the fullback is not going to hurt us, because the Raiders, like we said earlier, have picked up about 70 yards a game out of whoever's played that fullback position. And tonight, I think they probably under 10 or 20 yards. The Cardinals came here with a game plan that you may beat us, but you're not going to beat us with the fullback. But, Paul, we've got 49 seconds left in the clock. I think the easy money is that the Raiders are going to punt the ball, and the way they've done tonight, they've tried to punt it away from the returners and tried to kill that ball, so it's probably what you're going to see. And Chippewa Falls will probably have about 40 seconds to go the length of the field.
So hopefully we can get one of those perfectly ugly punts that we've been benefiting from all evening. Punt will be from about the 45. And there it is. The ugly punt goes all the way down to about the 7-yard line. And the Cardinals will be able to push it to about the 20, but no real damage done there for the Raiders. So 36.2 left, and they have got to go 80 yards. Very tough order here for the Cardinals. They're going to have to pretty much be looking downfield, passing the entire time, and we've seen them be effective on the pass quite a few times, but picking up this much yardage in this short amount of time really benefits the Raiders here.
This is when you're going to see Chaz Larson and Ethan Denauer and company. They're going to pin their ears back, and they're just going to go for number 10 back there, Peterson. And Mike Bennett, really super job getting that punt off because the Cardinals were coming for it. Just getting that ball out of there was a big deal.
So really you're just trying to avoid the big play here, and like you said, those defensive ends will be on the attack here. Denauer gets around the outside, and now the pass is thrown under duress by Peterson. Lands among only Raiders right around the 30-yard line, and like you said, Denauer speed rushes from that right defensive end, gets right around his man and causes the pressure on Peterson.
Yeah, those defensive linemen, the defensive linemen of this Hudson Raider team, probably the best defensive linemen in the conference, and they have to love this situation. They don't have to worry about the run. They're just going for the quarterback.
So Worrell and Denauer on the outside. Pass downfield is complete to the 49. So 23.3 left. The Cardinals with that long completion remain in the game here.
Not only was it completion, he got himself out of bounds. I believe he did. The clock stops, obviously, when they move the chains, but I think he got himself out of bounds. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to huddle up here and get themselves settled. That was Jakewish with the throw, not Peterson.
One more play like that, and the Cardinals could find themselves back in a situation to possibly win this game. Jakewish back to pass again. He's going to look downfield. He's got a man, and it's knocked down around the 20-yard line. So good defensive play there, and I like the call as far as the Cardinals are concerned, as far as bringing in Jakewish. If he has any throwing ability, you know, you get him to the outside, get him to scramble around a little bit. He probably won't get sacked.
Yep.
And you're pretty much, you know, throwing up a lottery ticket anyways.
Not as susceptible to the pass, and he seems to be able to throw the ball downfield.
16.6 left. Cardinals at the 47. They have to get in the end zone. There is no tying this game up. There is only winning or losing. Jakewish back to pass, and he will get sacked.
The clock's
Under
running.
10 seconds. No timeouts left for the Cardinals. They're going to have
Clock's
to try to
running.
rush up to the line. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and they are unable to get it off. And that is the end of the game. The Cardinals with the upset, or the Raiders, excuse me, upsetting the Cardinals with the victory, 19-14 on homecoming night here at Newton Field. And the undefeated streak for the Cardinals in the Big Rivers Conference is over. And the Raiders will be celebrating literally all night long with this victory. Huge victory on homecoming night.
Yeah, I mean, last year with what happened was just a heartbreaker. And for this team to come out here against an opponent like Chippewa Falls and finish the deal, absolutely chalk this one up. I mean, this is as big as win. Last year the Raiders were able to beat Menominee at Menominee, and that was a huge win. This is just as big, and being it on homecoming, a lot of people we said, a tough opponent to bring in here on homecoming.
Yep.
But for them to be able to beat this team on homecoming, it just makes that victory even sweeter. Cardinals came in here trying to keep their streak alive, trying to win the 200th victory of Chuck Rakovic's career, and the Raiders put a stop to it. I mean, this is, I hate to use hyperbole here, but this is going to send shockwaves through the conference, because I don't think anybody saw this coming after what happened last week with the Raiders unfortunately falling to Superior on the road. I don't think there were a whole lot of people that thought we were going to get this outcome tonight, but Raiders looked energized by Bo Holmes coming back into that game, and then Davey Branson able to lead him to that touchdown in the first half, and really did just fine in there after Holmes left the game with what looked like another, maybe re-injured himself there. But what an incredible football game.
Perfect evening for a football game. Perfect end to a homecoming game for the hometown crowd, as the Raiders, after exchanging touchdowns, they actually went up by 1 because of the missed extra point. The Cardinals came back, got the 2-point conversion on a very efficient drive, and a very nice pickup of the 2-point conversion. Then the Raiders followed up with the field goal by Dennison from the 20-yard line, and then the safety, the big safety down in the shadow of their own goal line, really is kind of what did it in for the Cardinals. Not only because of the 2 points that was given up, but it gave the ball right back to the Raiders. And the Raiders were able to eat up a lot of clock and pretty much made it desperation time for the Cardinals by the time they got the ball back. So the Raiders with a very impressive victory, coming back from last week's big loss, which was very disappointing for this team, we all know. And to come home and beat a team like Chippewa Falls at home for homecoming, something very special for this team, and should help build momentum throughout the course of the season. Of course, like you said, Bo Holmes came in and proved to be very effective. Maybe you see him and Branson split time now, where as the beginning of the season you may not have expected Branson to get in as much. You know, now you have faith in both your quarterbacks, and you just kind of see the offense picking up confidence as we go on in the season.
Yeah, it looked like a different offense than what we've seen all season. They look confident. It was the second biggest scoring output they've had this season, and they just look like the offense that we saw last year. And if you want to talk about little things, Paul, that kickoff return that Chippewa Falls had that led to the touchdown was a huge play, and then the following return they had, the ball goes through the legs, they have to start from the 2, and that set up that safety, and that's really what, for all intents and purposes, ended this football game. But other things going on in the conference tonight as well. Eau Claire North facing Menominee. That's in Menominee, down in Nona Williams Stadium. River Falls at Eau Claire Memorial, and Superior, Hudson's opponent last week, taking on Rice Lake. Rice Lake last week lost to Eau Claire North, and that's who the Hudson Raiders play next week, is Rice Lake. And Eau Claire North hasn't beaten a Big Rivers opponent other than Eau Claire Memorial in 2 years. So that may give you an indication of maybe Rice Lake isn't what they thought they had been, because Rice Lake started the season 2-0 in their non-conference and really got out of the blocks pretty slowly in the conference. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like next week. As the Raiders take another long road trip, that'll be the second longest road trip that the Raiders have in this conference, going to Rice Lake next week. And again, I pumped it up a little bit last week, but that Hudson Raider fan bus, if you don't have reason to get on the fan bus now, tonight's game will give you some reason, because this team looked very impressive, and that should be a fun game for Hudson Raider fans. And that fan bus, I took it last week. It's a good time. If you've never been on a fan bus, definitely do it, because they had movies and food and just an enjoyable ride up to Superior, and beats the heck out of fighting traffic back and forth, and it's a late drive back from those long roads. It's nice to let somebody else do the driving for you.
So the Raiders, with a huge victory here today, moved to 3-1 on the season, beating Chippewa Falls, which we can't reiterate enough. They had won 17 times in a row in the Big Rivers Conference, and the Raiders come in on homecoming night and take the victory 19-14, thrilling announcers and crowd alike here at Newton Field. So it's been a great evening of football. I'm sure the evening of festivities will continue for the people partaking in homecoming festivities. But for our coverage of Hudson football, we're done. So for Chris Larson, I'm Paul Winkles. Thanks for tuning in. We'll re-air it multiple times throughout the week on Channel 15. Have a good night.